Assalamualaikum and very good morning. We are from section BS 5.86 and we want to present about sport psychology HSM 3124. So before I start the presentation, I would like to introduce my team member. First is Aiman Daniel bin Syarul Nizam. Next is me, Faiz Nur Rahim bin Ridwan. Next is Aidil Kowen bin Nur Azman. Next is Muhammad Fitri Salihin bin Muhammad Fauzi. And lastly is Muhammad Daniel bin Muhammad Rashid. So in chapter 5, imagery in sport performance and hypnosis in sport. In summary, there are 3 points. First is important to all athletes. Next, all movement are start from imagery, and lastly, all part of body play their own role. So for the article that I take is from original research article 17th April 2020. The title is Mental Imagery Skill in Competitive Young Athletes and Non-Athletes. The theories that I can compare in the article is imagery has been defined as using all the sense to recreate or create an experience in the mind by Bailey and Relief in 2001. So for the opinion, all athletes have to master the imagery in sport to increase more skill and next, pay more attention to athletes' emotion. So I will pass to the next presenter.
Okay, thank you, Faiz. Now I will continue about this presentation. Okay, I will explain about conclusion about imagery in sport performance and hypnosis in sport. For the number one is imagery in sport is important towards all athletes, and the number two is athletes' emotion also important in sport. Next. Okay, this is a video about imagery in sport performance and hypnosis in sport.
Hi, this is Tim.
And this is Lucy.
Tim is having trouble with his athletic performance, and Lucy is here to help. Let's go learn about imagery.
Imagery? What is that?
I'm glad you asked, Tim. Listen carefully and I'll explain. Imagery is recreating images in one's mind that mimic real-life experiences. We use this in sport to supplement physical practice by working on the mental aspects as well.
So it's kind of like playing football, but in my mind.
That's exactly what it is, Tim.
How does imagery work, Lucy?
There are 4 different explanations for how this works. Let me show you. The first theory, the symbolic learning theory, creates mental blueprints. The second theory, the psychoneuromuscular theory, innervates the muscle through imagery. The third theory, the bioinformational theory, focuses on stimulus characteristics. And the fourth theory, attentional arousal set explanation, uses imagery to pump up or to calm down.
Oh, that's awesome. But when would you use imagery?
You can use imagery at many different times for athletic performance. It can be used before, during, and after both practices and competitions. Here are the purposes to each of these options. Before, during, and after practice, it can be used for rehearsal skills. Before competition, it can be used to preview strategies and past successes. During competition, it can be used for skill execution. And after competition, it can be used to look at the good and bad aspects of performance.
So you're saying I don't have to use it just as a pre-game ritual?
No, Tim, you can use it in any form or any time you'd like. Now let's look at how you can use it. PETLIP is used to create the most vivid and exact image of the task or experience. It stands for physical, environmental, task, timing, learning, emotion, and perspective. Utilizing all of these aspects will give you the best results possible. To get the most from your imagery practice, you want to use both cognitive and motivational components. Together there are 5 components: cognitive specific, cognitive general, motivational specific, motivational general mastery, and motivational general arousal. By using all 5, you maximize the benefits found from imagery. Let's see you give it a try, Tim.
I see myself making the catch. I feel the crowd. I'm staying calm. I'm winning this game. I got this. Imagery helped me with my performance. Now here are some more benefits to using imagery. Some benefits to imagery are as follows. Positive effects on performance, reducing anxiety levels, increasing intrinsic motivation, increasing self-efficacy, and improving accuracy and technical quality.
We hope you have learned something new about imagery.
Okay, thank you for the video. And now I will continue about chapter 6. The chapter 6 is about aggression and violence, sport performance. And for the summary, they have 4 summary. Number 1 is aggression is about behavior. And for the number 2 is there are 3 types of aggression. And for the number 3 is the catharsis effect. And the last one is factors influence of aggression. Next. And for the article aggression in sport. Aggression in sport is written by Adam Morris. And for the theories is suggests that aggression is a functional learning. It's from Bandura 1950. Okay, that's all from me. Now I will give next presenter.
Okay, thanks to Fitri. For my part, in chapter 6, aggression and violence in sport performance. For the opinion, athletes have to control the aggression, and the coach give a strong mental training for the athlete. Next, for the conclusion in this chapter is aggression have a bad and good side. Next, athlete maybe have to use aggression to improve their skill. For the last, aggression also can give a harm to another athlete. These are the video about the aggression and violence in sport performance.
Right, so this is the next part. So aggressive and types of aggression. So aggression has 2 types, which is hostile, you can see here, and instrumental aggression. And then we have something called assertive behavior. And we're going to look at these 3 parts to aggression right now. So first of all, we're going to focus on hostile aggression. Okay, so hostile aggression is inflicting harm, or either physical or psychological harm, on someone else other than yourself. Okay, so for example, we've looked at these 2 examples already, but Ben Flower physically harming the player on the floor here, Roy Keane physically harming Inga Haaland, and Serena Williams threatening and throwing her aggression towards the line judge here, or the foot judge actually. So it's sometimes referred to as reactive aggression, and is often accompanied with anger. And what it means by reactive aggression is that it's often referred to as you reacting to something, or reacting to a stimulus. But this form of aggression is hostile, and therefore you are displaying aggression towards another player or being. The second form of aggression, type of aggression, is instrumental aggression, very different to hostile. And this is where you're displaying aggressive behavior, but in the pursuit of a goal. Okay, so it's sometimes referred to as where you channel your aggression into something. So most aggression within sport would fall within this category. And, you know, this tackler here, he's channeling his aggression to make that tackle, to make a successful tackle in order to stop the player scoring a try. Here, Tiger Woods channeling his aggression into his golf. It's often seen, instrumental aggression is often seen more so in contact sports, where you're having to be quite aggressive in the way that you are, but actually it's channeled into what you're doing and not there to try and damage someone else. It's to try and to play within the boundaries of the game. Then the last one is it's not a type of aggression, it's a behavior. Okay, so this is assertive behavior, and this differs because the individuals are playing with emotion within the rules of the game. Okay, and they say it breaks down into 4 categories or criteria, like we had earlier. So goal directed, so you have a goal, so assertive behaviours towards the goal that you're going for. It's not intended to hurt, injure or harm anyone. So you don't actually go out there intentionally, you just go out to achieve the goal and not to hurt anyone. It only uses assertive behaviour, only uses legitimate force within the rules of the game. Okay, and you know, people who are watching a rugby game, okay, it may look aggressive, but actually no, it's not. It's just asserting yourself on the game. Okay, and that force is legitimate. And then finally, the aggression or the assertive behaviour does not break any rules within the game. So actually, you're playing within the rules, and that is part of assertive behaviour. Right.
Okay, for the next chapter, we learn about burnout and drug abuse. For the summary, we got burnout is a term coined in the 1970s to describe an extreme state of exhaustion. Next, there are 3 models of burnout. There are symptom of burnout and intervention, and also measurement of mood states. And also burnout in coach. I will pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the poem. The next article, Suburbs Rehabil, published online 2014, August 14. Drug abuse in athlete. Claudia L. Riordan and Shane Riardo. For theories as a psychological syndrome of emotional cycle exhaustion, reduced sense of accomplishment and sport devolution. Riadiker and Smith, 2001. The next opinion. Educate your children about the full side effect of short-term and long-term steroid abuse. Regularly discussed thirdly was to achieve athlete goals such as through training and diet. Thank you.
So for the next slide, I will present about the conclusion. So the first one is drug abuse have a bad side. Second one is athletes can be eliminated from competition if using drugs. And the last one is burnout can affect athletes in competition. For reference, you can go at chapter 7 and you can also search at www.ncbi.nlm.nih.gov, and the last one is meridian.allenpress.com. So for the next slide is a video. That's it.
Burnout is a very important issue from the professional level all the way down through the youth. When an athlete is burnt out, they lose that passion and desire to play. The joy of the sport is no longer there and their motivation is in decline. A big part of burnout is emotional fatigue. When an athlete's burnt out, emotionally, their tank is empty. They don't have that passion or motivation. Another factor is depersonalization. When an athlete's experiencing burnout, they tend to make their sport external. It's no longer autonomous with them personally. It's no longer intrinsic, but it's external. And they aren't associated personally with the sport and with their performance as much. And finally, poor performance is a big result from burnout, because when we aren't passionate, when we aren't enjoying it, when we're not motivated, when we're emotionally fatigued, and when we depersonalize our sport, we ultimately don't perform as well. And that's a huge reason why we at Pro Performance want to address this very important topic. There are the same 5 factors used for both preventing and treating burnout. The first factor is variety. It's very important that as coaches and as players, We make sure there's variety in our training, in our routine, what we're doing on the field in practice, and what we're doing off the field as well. Another great way to prevent and treat burnout is time off. Give yourself some time off. Use that time off in the off season. Take weeks on end where you're not doing anything. Rather than doing 1 or 2 sessions during a few weeks, take a few weeks off. And you see this in business as well, where companies are even requiring sabbaticals for some people, and they're even mandating certain amounts of time off, because in being disconnected, you're actually able to connect even better when you do come back. It's very important that the athlete has autonomy and they have intrinsic motivation and they feel connected. Allow the players to be involved. Allow the athlete to feel like they're contributing and they're not just going through the motions and just obeying commands and obeying orders. A great factor in preventing and in treating burnout is fun. Make the training fun. Make your sport fun. Look at Ronaldinho. Look at the great athletes. Look at Neymar. These athletes love it. They are passionate about it. They're emotionally engaged and they find joy in their sport. Have fun. Have fun at training, in games, and with your teammates, in your locker room, your camaraderie. Very important to have fun to avoid burnout. Finally, the 5th factor in preventing and in treating burnout is relaxation and recovery. Very important to give yourself that time. Let your body heal. Let your mind heal. You're not always thinking about the sport. You're not always watching the sport. And you're not always being physically active. Take some time away from it. Allow your body, allow your mind, allow your emotions to rest and recover.
Hey there, welcome to Life Noggin. Would you take performance-enhancing drugs that could help you become an Olympic champion? What if that drug had some serious negative side effects? These drugs are banned in sports, but that doesn't stop some athletes from taking them. So what do? And how do they work? Let's start off with the most famous of these drugs, anabolic steroids. When these are taken, the body breaks them down into smaller molecules that can enter cells and bind to a structure called an androgen receptor. Normally, testosterone binds to this, but anabolic steroids can too. And from here, the real magic begins. See, once the androgen receptor is activated, your body starts to produce more proteins during the process of anabolism. The cells in your skeletal muscles start to replicate, and this means that your muscles will start to grow and you'll become stronger. In fact, in men, exercise and steroids could lead to a 38% increase in strength, and potentially even more for women. And not only that, but anabolic steroids can also help athletes train harder and recover faster by shortening catabolism, the process in which proteins are broken down into amino acids. But of course, not all the effects of anabolic steroids are positive. It can cause acne, high blood pressure, and male pattern baldness in both men and women. They can cause men's testicles to shrink and decrease sperm count, and increase your risk for prostate cancer. And women using these steroids can develop facial hair, a deepened voice, and their periods may change or even completely stop. So seriously, don't use these. But what if an athlete isn't really concerned with muscle strength, but rather wants to improve their endurance? This is where blood doping comes in handy. But again, this is a bad move. So bad, in fact, that Lance Armstrong was stripped of all 7 of his Tour de France victories and was banned from the sport for life. The goal of blood doping is to increase the amount of oxygen-carrying red blood cells in the blood, and this is usually done with either blood transfusions, using your own blood, or by injecting yourself with erythropoietin, a molecule that stimulates the production of more red blood cells. And the basic idea is that the more oxygen that can get to your body's muscles, the more endurance you will have. So does it work? Well, in one study, blood doping increased an athlete's endurance by 34%, and in another, an athlete was able to run 8 kilometers on a treadmill 44 seconds faster than before. That might not sound like a lot, but when these athletes are competing with the best of the best, every second counts. Now, these are just the tip of the iceberg. Other performance-enhancing drugs include human growth hormone, which helps increase athletes' sprinting capacity by up to 4% and increases muscle growth as well. But trust me when I say that if you are an athlete, it's probably better to just train the old-fashioned way, with a lot of hard work and sweat. Work it, baby. Excluding any of the negative health effects, using these drugs means that you're cheating. And in the professional world, that definitely shouldn't be taken lightly. So, do you think the Olympics should allow doping? Will it push the human limit forward? Our good friend Vanessa from Braincraft discusses it here.
Between 1 to 3% of elite athletes
So that's it for the presentation. thank you for your time.